Okay, alright, on this video, we're just going to go over the very first part, the inverse of cosine of x. Main thing is this, and this is the main thing we got out of the activity. When we do arc cosine or inverse cosine of x, our answer better be in between 0 or pi. And if it's not, then we don't use that answer because it doesn't pass the vertical line test at that angle. So it's got to be in between 0 and pi. We're say this is 0 right here, and this is pi. So really, we're only looking at the first two quadrants. You can see my lovely half circle there. And I just have all the ordered pairs, and basically these are all the possible answers when we do inverse cosine. Okay, let's look at the first example, this right here. If I have inverse cosine of 1/2, well, here's a good thing. If this trig value given you is positive, automatically the answer's got to be in the first quadrant. So first quadrant, I look, where's x 1/2? Well, it's right here. So pi over 3, that's the answer. And that's it. That's the answer. Whatever pi over 3 is a decimal, is probably a little bit more than 1. So if you put this in, inverse cosine of 1/2, it's going to give you a decimal that's a little bit more than 1, which equals pi over 3. Okay, if I do arc cosine of negative root 3 over 2, well, then this answer, this means this has to be in, since you have a negative here, second quadrant is where it's negative. Now remember, I don't look down here in the third quadrant. That's where it fails the vertical line test. So x is negative root 3 over 2 right here. So 5 pi over 6, that's the answer. And that's the only answer. Remember, we're finding the principal value where it passes the vertical line test. Okay, let's do a couple of the other ones. I just want to still have it so you can see the unit circle. Alright, so number 1 we did. Let's look at number 2. Again, this is negative root 2 over 2. So if this is negative, x is negative in the second quadrant. It's going to be right here. So our answer is going to be this, 3 pi over 4. Okay, and once we know what we're doing, what we're looking for, you get the answer right away because you've been working with the unit circle. Okay, next one we have a negative, and it's negative root 3 over 2. So again, where's x negative root 3 over 2? Well, it's right here in the second quadrant. It's this. So it's 5 pi over 6. Actually, it's the same thing we just did. Whatever, I'll write it out again. Okay, let's look at number 4. So where's x negative 1? Well, x is negative 1 right here at pi. And that's right on the interval 0 to pi. Okay, let's do a couple others. And you know what I'm going to do for 5, 6, and 7? If it's positive, it means it has to be in the first quadrant, unless, actually, if I do this one, that's an intercept right there. Now, if I go back up, x is 1 right here. This is where the x value is 1 at 0. Now, this is the same as 2 pi, but since this is our interval 0 to pi, 2 pi is not in this interval. The only answer that the calculator would give you is 0. So that's the answer that you must get when you see these problems. And it says find the principal value. Okay, now the next one, since this is positive, I know it's got to be in the first quadrant. Well, where is x root 3 over 2? Well, again, I use my trusty arrow. It's right here, which is pi over 6. So I'm going to put this in. Hopefully you're not getting dizzy right now. This is pi over 6. Okay, then negative 1/2. I know this has to be in the second quadrant. That's where x is negative. So I want to find where is x negative. I go back to the unit circle. X is negative 1/2 right here. So that's the answer. It's going to be 2 pi over 3. So 2 pi over 3 is the answer for number 7. So another way to look at it, you only get one answer, and you're only looking at the top two quadrants. Now that's just for inverse cosine. On the next two videos, when we do inverse sine and inverse tangent, it's going to be a little bit different.